All across the unknown world, rediscovery pushes ever onwards to find the lands and people lost. All thanks to our brave explorers.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Azakar and the Jani Seraph.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm playing Vanya the Wolfkin Warrior.
Hey, I'm Livvy. I'm going to be playing Rayri, the Sprite Ranger.
Hi, my name's Theo and I'm playing Cal, Zangabar Guardian.
And my name is DM Dan. I'll be the GM in these adventures. The further we go, the more we learn of these magical tales from elsewhere. Hello, world. Hi. Welcome back. Well, welcome back. This might be the first episode you've ever seen. Welcome to Explorers of Elsewhere Live, Tales from Elsewhere. Hello, hello, hello. Exciting stuff. Exciting. If you haven't watched the Meet the Character video that came out, or if you just joined in, hi, welcome. That'll be out on a VOD at some point, or just go back and watch it. But I think we've waited long enough for us to jump straight in. There is a sudden rushing feeling, the pressure in your ears rapidly expanding and contracting as your bodies are flung through highways of ether linking portal to portal. And in the blink of an eye and a catch of the breath, the air that you can smell and taste is suddenly different. Unlike the bustling sounds and the busyness of the streets of Avamore that you were in a moment ago, as you stepped through the portal in the Silver Square, you now find yourself in a homely looking tavern. It looks quite new, recently constructed. You can see that there are some parts of the construction of this building still ongoing, even as a couple of workers and presumably citizens of this town that you're in go about their business or just catch a break with a quick drink at lunchtime. And as you look around, you notice first off that there's no welcome party. And peering around, like, you can see a staircase up to some upper levels. You can see kind of out the windows, and you can see other buildings that have popped up in this settlement. But you find yourself looking at one another somewhat curiously, as normally someone would be here to meet you. And as you ponder what is happening, you hear a scuffle of a run, and a dark-skinned Lorivar, like, rushes round the corner, pinning on what appears to be some sort of brooch of authority or some such. And he sort of like skids to a stop when he sees the four of you and a large Chihuahua-looking dog have already arrived. My apologies. I knew that you were coming. I wasn't entirely sure when you arrived, but it's good to see that you have arrived and you're all in one piece. Sorry, you've caught me. You caught me in a bit of a tiz, but it's fine. It's fine. Welcome, everyone. Hello. My name is Davin Dram, and welcome everyone to the town of New Prosper. And perhaps there is a sigh of relief as the man in front of you sounds like you've gotten to the right space. if nothing else. As this man kind of looks to you and, how was your journey? I mean, what am I saying? It happened in the space of a moment. The portals are... I mean, have you ever used portals? But they are magical, aren't they? Yes. Sorry. Who? I haven't asked your names. I'm sorry. I'm still kind of getting used to this. You see. Yes. I am. Don't worry. I am the leader of this place. I am kind of in charge. But who are you? He says.
Ray will be the first to just go straight in. Takes his hand, just takes it. Oh, hi, my baby. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Ray, he says, and he sort of like bends down to, like he bends at the waist to shake your hand. But as you go to reach for it, he kind of stops as he looks at your pet dog. And is he friendly?
Yeah, depends what your intentions are, but he's fine. That's just Vinny is
He nods, and like the rest of you can't help but cock an eyebrow as this Lorivar man who sounds quite foppish, like looks at this oversized chihuahua dead in the eyes and says, I'm just going to shake her hand, okay? And then like gingerly reaches out to offer you his hand, Ray.
Yeah, very ecstatically.
Very good. Yes, who are you? He says, peering over at you, Azakar.
Azakar is gonna draw his hands to his waist, and he's going to bow, and he's gonna go, Azakar Rylith, it's a pleasure.
Very good to meet you, Mr. Rylith. Thank you for coming on such short notice. We and all of the people of New Prosper, thank you for your promptness. Sorry, your name? He says, looking over to the Wolfkin.
The camera pans around as the Wolfkin's like sniffing in the air, getting a sense of the surroundings, and as he's been addressed, he turns around and is like, you shall call me Vanya.
Vanya, very Oh, I do love your accent. You don't sound like anything like the Wolfkin from. Oh no, wait, I shouldn't say. I'm told not to say that. That's very inappropriate for me to say. Welcome to New Prosper. And you, hello, sir. And you are, he says, turning to the Asavar in the room.
It's Cal.
The Lorivar looks to you like with his mouth open, expectant face, and then he, "Oh, you're done. Okay. Hello, Cal. Pleased to meet you," he says, and he shakes his hand. Yes, as I say, my name is Davendram. I am the, I suppose I'm the mayor. But yes, still kind of getting used to it. There's quite a few people here nowadays. There didn't used to be back in the early days, but now there's quite a few.
Getting used to it.
Yes.
Getting used to it.
Yes, well,
yes, you definitely don't give that impression.
Thank you. Yes, I've got a good kind of friend who's helping me with kind of looking after. I'm actually not sure. Give me a second. I'll see if I can find him. And as he says that, you see through the little kind of frosted porthole on the door of the tavern, like the silhouette of a head appear at it, and the door opens, and silhouetted in the light somewhat for a moment, a heavy footstep announces the arrival of a relatively old and broad-shouldered Lorivar man an eye patch over his right eye, part of his right ear missing, a somewhat neatly trimmed beard and buzz cut hair, and the figure, this man looks at you, you notice that he's got a firearm holstered in a holster on his back. I see you've arrived. My name is Sheriff Comstock. Welcome to New Prosper. It's good to see that you've arrived on time. And Davin just sort of like has stepped to the side and is just like nodding, in the like pointing at the Lorivar that's just arrived. Yes, you'll have to excuse Davin here. He's still getting used to the job, you see. But, yeah, if you please follow me, I'll give you a quick tour. I'll introduce you to the people you need to know. And, yeah, we'll get you set off on the job that we've asked you here for. How does that sound?
Very good.
Sounds good.
In which case, Davin sort of like gingerly steps to the side, and... yeah, Comstock like turns on his heel and kind of marches out of the tavern. As you follow,
Can I do something quickly
Yes.
as we leave? Is that okay?
yes,
Can I turn to Davin as we leave and just go, less words would be a better impression. Don't say anything else and I just follow everyone else.
you regard him just long enough to see him sort of like blush slightly and look at the floor quite awkwardly. I will go gruffer, Carl. I will go gruffer. Yeah, as the four of you move out of the inn, you find yourself like you immediately smell, like the smell of the tavern is replaced with the smell of salty sea air. You can hear the sound of sort of like seaward, like birds flapping overhead. But as you step out, you take a moment to regard what appears to be a very large wooden statue immediately to your right. And you take a moment to regard it and recognize it as what appears to be a young female keeper, who's got one hand on the neck of a horse, like on the mane of a horse, and another hand on the top of the head of a bear, and she appears to sort of like be kind of scritching both of their kind of heads and like both of their furs. And she herself is kind of looking somewhat skyward. There's a sense of like hope that emanates from this statue. And those of you that have followed out notice that Comstock sort of like takes one moment to look at the statue, and then he, Azakar, you notice him sort of like close his one good eye, like he bows his head slightly. It seems like he's murmuring something, perhaps a little, like a very small kind of prayer or mote of memory. And then he sort of like looks up and, like placing his hands on his hips, he looks from side to side. Oh, where should we go? And as he's wondering, he's interrupted by a somewhat shrill voice. Kami, are they the explorers? And a Wolfkin woman runs over to meet you. Hi, just in case it gets a bit too boring, my name's Frinka. I'm sort of the guide around here. I'm a liaison between here and Ekabosdia, and yeah, he doesn't show you any of the fun places, so if you want to go somewhere where you can find some really fun and exciting things to do, then you should come find me. My name's Frinka. Okay, I've got to go now, but I'll see you later. Okay, bye, she says, and then she, as quickly as she arrives, she then scampers back off. And Vanier, you noticed in this moment that this Frinka character seems almost polar opposite to yourself, but how does it feel, at least knowing that there are kind of wolfkin within this settlement? Like, looking around, you can see, as you would expect, like a lot of Lorivar, but you can see a goblin tending the farmyards, like the yard in front of the barn just to your left. You can see you can see a number of workers. There are some goblins. You remember seeing a goblin inside the tavern. Yeah, how are you feeling knowing that at least there are wolfkin around?
I think as Vanya looks around and takes in the smells and the sights, he spent pretty much the entire Eschaton alone, surviving the wilds. And then when he was brought in to the Explorers of Elsewhere, he finally not only just obviously grown up in a little wolfkin village, which is obviously no more due to the events of the Eschaton. It's not just wolfkin, it's people, different races of different kinds, but he's not alone anymore. And suddenly coming to a much more rural place and still seeing this vibrance of different people, and even seeing wolfkin, it gives him a strange sense of comfort, knowing that there's such a diversity, but especially seeing his own kind.
Sure. Well, as these thoughts kind of filter through your mind, Comstock is just sort of like watching this wolfkin woman just sort of like run off, and she seems just utterly frenetic. She seems very busy, but he sort of like grumbles under his breath, like his moustache bristles slightly, and yes, she is a sort of an envoy of sorts. There was a village nearby, Ekabozdi. It was a wolfkin village, and I won't go into the long details of it, but we've kind of combined, and now we help one another out. It's she's hard to keep up with, but she's good people. Anyway, follow me. We'll see if I can find who summoned you here. And like as you walk through the town, you notice that like a lot of the buildings are still kind of partially completed. It like taking a look round, you can see that over the space of 6 months, clearly they've done a pretty good job of building as much as they have. And like, you know, the sound of like the sea sloshing against cliff walls gets ever so slightly louder with every step you take. But next to two half-constructed buildings in front of you, you notice what appears to be like a large tent of sorts. And a blonde Asavar steps out of the tent, sort of like thanking whoever's inside, and then they kind of look in your direction. "Hello, Comstock," the Asavar says as they kind of wander off. And Comstock approaches this tent, and sort of like verbally says "knock knock" before pulling the tent door aside. And within, you see you see an Asavar woman with almost like bone white hair, a fair complexion, wearing a blue, like a comforting looking blue dress. And she appears to be kind of filing away some notes in a diary. And then she looks up and, oh, hello, Comstock. Are they the adventurers? She says, looking over. And Comstock nods and, Milia, have you seen him recently? And the Asavar woman is still kind of looking over in your direction. No, I can't say that I have. And as she kind of scans the four of you, Cal, you notice that her eyes fall on you for a moment longer than everyone else. And she sort of like stands up from her seat and steps out to greet you. Hello, my name is Milia Seiralast. I am a counsellor of sorts within New Prosper. It's good to see you've all arrived here safely. If you need anything, please ask. Yes, I'm sorry, Comstock, I can't help any further. I've got some more people I need to see today. Comstock kind of nods, and then Milia kind of bows ever so slightly and then returns to her tent. Comstock turns to you and the expedition that resulted in New Prosper, he says, kind of gesturing around. It was a bit of an uphill struggle, to be honest. But we made it. As I understand, one of the first expeditions to have actually set up an outpost. But yes, we're all looking good. But yeah, if you follow me, he says, and he continues walking, and he heads more in a southerly direction until you find yourself stood on the edge of a cliff, approximately 200 feet deep, and you can see the sea sloshing up against the stone far below. And looking out in front of you, you just see this beautiful azure horizon, where aqua meets the sky. And looking at it, you would all know from your experiences of the eschaton that as you look at the jagged, the relatively clean edge of this cliff, you suspect that this formation is a result of the eschaton. And Comstock seems relatively oblivious to it. Clearly he's kind of used to it. But he's talking to an Aquan sprite and a Lorivar who are kind of peering over the edge, peering out to sea. But it makes you wonder, what are your thoughts when you see what is clearly there was clearly a large chunk of land here that is gone? How are you feeling about it, Rary?
I think Mary's a little awestruck. I think she's relatively new to this exploring game, and just seeing an environment like this, which she would never have particularly been anywhere near sea, is just, she's just awe-inspired by it. I think she'll walk all the way to the edge that she could get to, just to look at the edge, and just
as you go, despite being blind in that eye, Comstock just seems to have this sense, and he turns to look at you and wait, he says, he naturally puts a hand out to stop you, but then kind of catches himself, realizes that you're an explorer, and he pulls his hand back. But Rary, as you peer over the edge, you notice that this cliff face appears to be holed out in certain points, and you see, jutting out of various kind of tunnel holes, if you will, planks of wood and what appear to be other building materials. And it seems that perhaps the people of New Prosper are looking to extend the town down the side of this 200-foot cliff face to the water. Yeah, have you, in your, because you're relatively young, right?
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've seen the sea proper?
Yeah, this will be the first time she's seen the sea, smelt the sea, experienced the seaside. She's just taking it in. It's just salty a little bit.
Yeah.
I think she's just excited. She's just looking over the edge, walking along, looking down the edge again, seeing if it looks any different. Just like, oh, what's that here? Oh my goodness, what's over here? Oh, have you been down there? Ding. Oh, you can see. Oh.
Azakar. As Rayri is having a bit of a meltdown, like in the face of this quite, frankly, very impressive scene, like you can't help but notice the tranquility of what you're seeing. How does it make you feel knowing that 18 months ago, just over 18 months ago, this place would have looked wildly different? Like, where's your head at now that the war has come to an end and the rediscovery has begun?
I think Azakar feels, quite content that that elsewhere is looking somewhat like how it used to. I think he's still cautious. Like, he's still very cautious about this could all end again. Like, this could all be upheavaled again. And so he tries his best to sort of see the joy, especially in what Rayri's doing. He's trying hard to sort of hold that to himself and kind of go like, this is a time of exploration now. But there's something in him that kind of goes like, but this could quite easily be taken all over again.
Sure. Well, in which case then, as you kind of savour the opportunity to take in what is frankly quite a beautiful sight, you overhear Comstock thanking the two kind of citizens of New Prosper, and sorry to send you all over the town. If you follow me, who we're after is this way. And then Comstock begins heading north back towards the tavern. And as you go, you can see that there's a certain camaraderie between the various citizens as they go about like building the town. It seems like a very active process that they're kind of getting involved with. But yeah, Comstock effectively returns to where you emerged. Davin stood at the front door and he like waves at you as you go past, and you notice that Comstock kind of does a very slow wave back, and then when he's out of line of sight, you see him just like shake his head slightly in exasperation. But he continues on, and as you approach, you begin to hear and smell a blacksmith. The staccato metallic rings of metal on metal, and you also next door to it you see what appears to be a lumber mill of sorts, the hulking form of a keeper carrying sort of like logs to the manual winch cutting wheel to slice these logs into usable beams for presumably the construction of the town. But Comstock sort of like pokes his head into like the open front blacksmith, and you notice two goblins inside, who, when they turn round, you notice are identical. And Comstock sort of like stops, like nods to them and says, "Knock, Bok. These are the explorers that you sent for." And the two goblins with their look at you, they cross their arms and they both sort of like begin sucking on their front teeth. And then one of them, you're not sure whether it's Knock or Bok, looks to you and
So you're the explorers then, yeah? You answered our job. Right, well, I hope you are worth your weight in the coin that we've had to pay for you. But yeah, it's a relatively simple job. It's a relatively simple job, isn't it?
and he looks to his brother, and his brother goes,
Yeah, simple job. So basically,
and he sort of like wipes his dirty, greasy hands on his apron. Sorry, it looks like he's going to wipe it on his apron, but instead he just wipes it on the plaid shirt he's got underneath the apron. And he strides out, again, you're not sure which one it is, but he's eventually followed by his brother. And they sort of like point to the north. And immediately to the north, you can see the trees that are clearly being cut back by the lumber mill as time goes on. You also notice that you can see through the blacksmith kind of, because it's just one of those, it's only got like two walls kind of thing. You can see what appears to be like a cave entrance down somewhere, just off to the like your right. But beyond this copse of tree, this small wood that adjoins onto New Prosper, you can see on the horizon this impossibly large crystalline spike jutting through, like, well over the tree line, and it gleams in the midday sun, and it reflects in hues of sort of like cyan and magenta, and it looks quite beautiful to look at. But Cal, as you peer at this structure, you immediately recognize it as like an arcane mana crystal. And like a lot of mana crystals have been springing up from the ground, grounds, in the aftermath of the war. And the nature of these mana crystals is still a bit of a mystery to some. But you've never seen something this large. We're talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet tall, like dominating the landscape. But as you see this crystal tower, what like memory does it rekindle from the war?
I feel like for Cal it brings up images of, like, I'm imagining during the war in the battlefield quite a lot of these arcane crystals poking up and taking out enemies. But kind of like a bit like the Celestite spell that Twig had in the last game, but massive and encompassing and actually quite terrifying. And pretty sure that Cal has had to ride into battle knowing that at any minute he could get struck through by one of these crystals. So I think there's an element of him recalling that in his head. I don't think it's visible. I think it is very much an internal reaction. Though he may cross his arms and kind of stand a bit straighter, as if trying to embolden himself from the memory. But yeah, never this big. Yeah. In all of his time in the war, never this big.
So certainly, I mean, for all four of you, with your time that you've spent in Avamore, like you would have heard like scholars and archaeologians and various majors talking about the phenomenon of these mana crystals, how these mana crystals aren't a new thing for Elsewhere. Elsewhere is thrived on crafted mana crystals. You chance a look at the rifle, the firearm on Comstop's back, and you know that itself will most likely contain a crafted mana crystal with which it fires projectiles, like fires blasts of energy. But in the over the space of the last 18 months since the end of the war, there have been more and more reports of like areas of landscape just slowly sprouting these crystalline growths, almost like a fungus. And the more far-fetched reports are that entire tracts of land are being crystallized. And like, it's a lot, like, arguably it's a lot of hearsay, but now looking at this immense structure jutting from the land, it makes you wonder what caused something of this magnitude. But you also notice that the people of New Prosper, Comstock, these two goblins, Knock and Bock, they just seem also, much like the beautiful view at the cliffside, they seem rather blasé. It seems like it's a bit of a everyday life kind of thing for them. But yeah, Bock, one of the goblins, sort of like turns back to you, the four of you, and says,
yeah, so basically, we've got, ever since that appeared, we've had, like, we sorted it out, don't we? It's not got any, like, monsters in it or anything.
and he pauses and he looks at his brother. He hasn't gone. We got rid of the monsters, right? And then I think, yeah, we got rid of the monsters. Yeah, good, right. So we got rid of the monsters, and now we just send in there's research teams from Avamore, and they're just like going in and having a little scoop around. Just trying to learn things about the crystal. I said we should just knock it down and turn it into loads of money, but they didn't seem to appreciate that. But so now there's loads of investigation teams having a look through it, and basically one of the recent survey teams that went in, they haven't come back. So your job, he says, and he sort of gives you a salesman pitch grin. Your job, yeah, you, especially you, love. Your job is to go in, find the survey team. They've probably just got lost, can't remember where the front door is, and then just bring them out. Job done. Easy peasy. How's that sound?
Sounds simple enough.
Very good, very good. And on the off chance that there are monsters in there, well, that's why we paid extra. But, that was a just in case kind of thing. It's very unlikely that there are any monsters in there.
No, I hope there are.
Oh. Whoa. In which case I don't know whether I want there to be monsters in there.
Does it not?
Say again?
Makes it more exciting, does it not?
Yeah, not for me. Or him. But yeah, for you maybe. But yeah. So, as long as you can bring out the research team, because Davin gets in a real tiz if things go wrong. So he's been in a bit of a tiz ever since they've gone missing. So as long as you can make sure that team gets out alright, then we'll be cushy. And we'll make sure to give you a little gold star, little commendation, little tick, whatever it is that those wizards in Avamore want us to do. Whatever, yeah. But yeah. Any questions?
How long have they been gone?
How long have they gone? Wait, which team was it? Was it the one that went last week? Or was it the one that went a week and a half ago?
And the two brothers stand looking at each other going,
oh, I think it's the one from a week ago. Are you sure? No, that one's got Brenda in it. No, I'm pretty sure I've seen Brenda around. Or maybe it is the one from a week and a half ago. Not long.
Sure,
How many
okay.
did you say it was?
So, we're pretty sure that there were about...
Pretty sure.
We're definitely sure that there were 5 of them in that party. Yeah, it's just, it's a proper, glasses, pencil pushing, nerds from Avamore. As I say, they've got those street smarts. They probably just got themselves very lost. Typical, But, yeah, it's easy. They've got rations. They've got their packed lunches.
So looking for glasses, pencils, and people
Yeah.
are monsters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you do find anyone else in there that doesn't look like an abject nerd, then, I don't know. I mean, whether you leave him in there or not, or bring him out as well. I mean, yeah, your choice, I guess. Because we're paying you for the research crew, not for anyone else. But I suppose, yeah, it's up to you. It's up to you. I'm not your boss. I'm not your mum.
No, you would be weird if you were my mum.
The two goblins just nod in agreement.
Yeah.
Did you see the monsters?
Well,
Like this? Oh, buddy.
well, did we see the monster? I could go one better than that, love. Sorry, we can go one better than that, love. And the two goblins sort of like stand shoulder to shoulder, sort of like cross their arms and like strike a cool man pose. Not only did we see the monsters, but we fought them. Yeah. And it wasn't just a monster. No. It was a dragon. Yeah, me and my brother here, we pow, with the crossbows, yeah. Didn't stand a chance. Yeah, Comstock was there. He helped, I suppose. But we were there.
Azakar's gonna look at Comstock and raise an eyebrow as is this true?
Comstock has gone a shade of red. And like he is biting on his bottom lip. His one good eye is scrunched tight, and it's clear that he wants to say something. But he's letting the goblins have their time. You can't help but get the feeling, from looking at his expression, that perhaps these goblins were there. And perhaps they did help fight a dragon. But perhaps they didn't do as much as they're making out they did. But yeah, Rayri, the two goblins, the two goblins are sort of like spinning you this tale about how the two of them like delved into the dark depths. Oh yeah, there was a really big corridor, and they had like other corridors, and there were portals, and then there was a dragon, and then and then there was this weird lady, looked a bit like Millie. I didn't really understand that plot point, but yeah, there was a lot going on. But bottom line, shot him with a crossbow. End of the problem, you know.
So amazing.
I know. We are amazing.
This guy didn't even help with a piece of him. What's going on?
As you point at Comstock and suggest that he didn't really have anything to do to help in this, Comstock lets out this like vocal grunt that sounds like he's just developed a hernia, and he
Enough of that, Knockenbach. Thank you for briefing us on what needs to be done. I believe you have work to do,
he says, like jabbing a finger back towards the blacksmith. And Knockenbach's sort of like,
oh, fine, whatever, yes. Spoil all our fun, why don't you? Killjoy.
And the two of them slope back into the blacksmith. And the old Lorivar man turns back to you and...
Right, well, that basically summarises why you're here then. You're here to find a research crew. Should be easy. No dragons. No, we, he says very pointedly, we dealt with the dragon. Don't worry.
And yeah, if there is anything, feel free to ask. I suppose given that how long they've been gone, it would be good if you could be somewhat quick with your investigations. We don't want to leave the survey crew languishing any longer than they need to. But I think that's about it, he says. At which point, just as quickly as she left previously, the Wolfkin woman, Frinka, you believe her name is, like zooms back in from like a different direction, like behind you, Cal. And she, oh, Comstock, come me, she says, like waving her hand. And like, Azakar, Vanya, like you notice that like Comstock's hand like begins twitching ever so slightly, just as he's like bombarded with all of these other people. I forgot to say before they go, he's down on the beach. He wants to have a quick word with them before they go up to the tower. Is that okay? Good. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I'll see you later, Tommy. Bye, she says, and then she like dashes back off. Sort of like you hear her shout, "You're doing a good job!" and she runs off. And yeah, Comstock just looks to you and
the beach, the shoreline. If you go through that cave entrance just behind us, the tunnel will lead you down to the shore. I'll be here when you're ready. I'll be here, and then I'll point you in the right direction.
And he, having seemingly lost all hope in his heart, Comstock just, like you see his shoulders sag. It's a tired man, and he just like begins walking back into the tavern, giving you free leave to head down to the beach.
Can Cal turn to Ray? Ray? Based upon her reaction to the sea earlier, right? You ever been on a beach before?
You want to get in my van?
You know, don't try it.
Okay. No, I've heard about them. They're like where the land meets the sea. Like they're like that.
Think you're going to enjoy it.
Like a river, but you can't see the other side. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about them.
That's very good. Yeah, I wouldn't have explained it like that. Yeah.
That's why it's called sand. This is where the sea meets the land.
This
Sand.
is what I've heard too.
Wait, what? What?
How am I as old as I am and I've never thought about that? Oh my god! Oh my god! Ah! Okay.
We've already broke the DM.
Yeah.
The DM is broken.
Vanya, how are you feeling about this whole thing? How are you feeling about like this place, the people in it, the people we've spoken to? Well, what's going through Vanya's head right now?
Yeah, Vanier is pumped. He's ready. I think the fact that I think before coming here, we were in this city. Even though he's gotten to get to know, like being in the same vicinity as some of the others here, you might have heard people's names being thrown about, hearing stories and all sorts, but actually getting back out into the wilderness, into the actual realm, he's just excited. The smells of the fresh air coming in, the stark change in geography doesn't really throw him, because he's where he survived through the Eschaton by himself. It was very much every time he had to keep moving, because the land was just being ripped apart, and 1 minute he takes a step forward and the land that he just left behind has just disappeared, or he's been thrown because like some creature's just smashed into the ground in the midst of a fight, and he was just probably in the middle of trying to catch a fish or something. It's very much like a series of unfortunate events for him that he's just been like surviving through all this time. So seeing this stark contrast and seeing the sea, it doesn't really throw him. but it's not necessarily he's really been very close to the sea. He's seen it from a distance, but not been close. So he's taken in those sweet, salty smells of the ocean, and it's.
I mean, you definitely would have seen the commoners who were dragging up a net's worth of freshly caught fish, and yeah, I suppose given you are the professional culinarian that you are, you can't help but wonder what that's going to taste like.
I'm going to take a few of those before we go.
In which case, as your mind dwells on the concept of sort of like that very kind of succulent fish that you suspect is probably going to get cooked up for in the tavern later, the four of you begin to head down through the cave passage, down towards the seafront, and you notice as you're going down this passage that the tunnel itself seems to bridge, and it's clear that these tunnels then run through the bedrock underneath New Prosper, and you suspect that those tunnels will then lead to the cliff's edge, which is Rayri, where you saw those kind of building supplies. But yeah, as you head down, and you hear the sound of the sea sloshing against the coast, the four of you discover on the beach another kind of elderly looking ish, probably similar age to you, Cal, maybe a bit older, but a Laravar man with a white moustache that curls, and he's got this hunter's hat on, fur coat. He's also got a rifle, like a firearm rifle. But unlike Comstock, this man is currently kneeling in the water, and his trouser legs are rolled up above his knees, and he's kneeling down, squatting, sorry, and he's got his hands on his knees, and he's surrounded by 5 creatures, aquatic creatures of some sort. And I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not you've ever seen them before, but they have certain amphibious frog-like qualities. They stand on 2 legs, but they're all kind of hunched. It's clear that they can't look forward because their bulging, boggly eyes are on the sides of their heads looking out. But you notice that the eyes seem to be moving around independently. And they're sort of surrounding this Laravar man, who's handing them bits of meat. And you see one of them's got a leg of something, and it's just slobbering and nomming on it. And as you approach, 5 of the 10 eyes on these creatures. Actually, I'll pause. Realistically, who's ever seen a creature like this?
I'd argue Cal's seen quite a few things.
Sure.
So I'll say yes.
Azakar?
No, I don't think Hazakar's seen anything like this.
Than you?
Yes, he's seen countless creatures and monsters and hunted things, so he's bound to have come across these creatures at some point.
In which case, the 2 of you that have encountered them, you know that this man is surrounded by 5 Croaks. Croaks being these amphibious humanoids that live in the sea. And they are as dense and dim-witted as the rocks that break the tide. They have no sense of civilization or intelligent thought. These are fundamentally, if you took an amphibious predator race of sorts, but then gave them the id of a toddler, That's a Croak. And this Lorivar man is crouching between the 5 of them, handing them meat. And their 5 of their 10 eyes, because they all move independently, just turn to regard you. And as they do, the old man sort of like turns and... Don't approach too quickly. They startle easily, he says. And then he sort of like, shh, and then beckons you.
Approach subtly.
Okay. And as you approach, the Lorivar man, who's still sort of like squatting amongst these Croaks, like looks up at you, and now, do any of you speak Croak?
No.
Cal and Vanier, you've encountered them, you would know this is a trick question, because Croaks don't speak Croak. They have no language. They do not entertain enough intelligence to have a language. But this Lorivar man looks at you quite earnestly, like eyebrows raised. Do any of you speak Croak?
No, but I can try.
Okay, you try with this one. I'll keep on trying with the other 4,
He says.
Do you know where the other one? There were 6, now 5. Where's the other? They're not getting it. How are you doing?
She's so Rami's doing the same kind of like thing of just trying to just kind of do various like 6, 5, 6.
The Croak that you're talking to, like the Croak, how's your dog doing with these Croaks?
He's so Vinny is just kind of sniffing the air around them, trying to determine if friend, food, or enemy.
Sure. Where in the Venn circle they are?
Where in that Venn circle are they? Because they smell like fish.
Yeah.
They're too large to be fish.
Yeah. I mean, because these are like... They're smaller than you, Rayri. They're about 3 foot tall. But like, a lot of that 3 foot is taken up by their head.
Okay. Like...
Which would imply they've got big brains.
Yeah. Like this.
Clearly not.
Makes them buoyant.
So Vinny's just kind of going in, sniffing them, and then doing that thing where dogs just come back. And then, going in, sniffing them, going back. Just like not sure
Sure.
if...
Well, as Vinny's going back, like going forward and reversing, like one of its eyes is just following Vinny going backwards and forwards, when the other eye's like focus on you, so it's kind of looking off, slightly off angle, so it can kind of see you both. But like, as you try to talk to it, this creature's just looking at you and like intimately going.
Ravi does the same.
Yes, that's it. I think you're doing it. I think you're doing it.
He says.
5. 6.
And this Croak like looks at you, and like the Croak itself has got like, so he's got a club made of what appears to be some sort of like flotsam wood. It's got some barnacle on the end. It's got this very rudimentary like seaweed loincloth of sorts. And it just looks at you, and it's like, as you gargle at it, it gargles back to you. And then in this moment of like, perhaps you are making contact, you just see this like stain appear in the water around its midriff, as the water washes in and then washes whatever excrement just came out of this creature back out to sea. And like, The Croak looking at you grins ever so slightly.
Oh no, I think I wouldn't stand in the water anymore. The fish pool is bad enough, but no, I've learned my lesson before,
He says, and the Laravel like splishes out of the water back onto the sand. The Croaks just kind of stand in the water that's been sullied, and just happily chew on the meats that this Laravel man has given them. He then,
Oh, my apologies, I thought I was getting through to the Croaks, but I've been trying for months. I'm pretty sure I'm almost there. Anyway, my name is Victor Kazbrazek. It's very good to meet you. I'm the deputy of New Prosper. I assume you've met the others.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
We did.
very good. Well, I when I heard that you were coming to investigate the research party, I wanted to make sure that I caught you on the way because I think there is something of express importance that you need to know before you go.
Well, what is it?
Well, you see, there were 6 Croaks, but now there are only 5. So, if you happen to see a Croak that looks a bit like them, they're all siblings, I think. But if you see one that looks a bit like them, then, well, I would say tell them to go home, but I don't know if they'd understand you. You might just have to bring back the Croak.
Are the Croaks vital to this community, then?
Yes, this is a very fragile ecosystem. It is of the paramount importance that you make sure if you find this Croak, if you don't find the Croak, I might find the Croak. But if you find the Croak, make sure to bring the Croak back.
Vanya will take a good sniff in the air to get familiar with the Croak scent for memory.
I see what you're doing. A fellow hunter. I see. Just bear in mind you might have to filter out the poo smell.
That tickled me a bit. Yeah, no, Vanya is like, don't worry, I am quite good at tuning my nose to certain smells.
I wouldn't have done it too well. No, it keeps you up at night. It really does. Anyway, have you got any questions about our missing Croak? Which is of the utmost importance.
Got a name? Any distinguishing features?
he looks at the 5 Croak that are just staring.
Because there could be another Croak in there, and it might not be the one you're looking for.
Oh, if there's even more Croaks, then if you find any Croaks, make sure to bring them back.
Any Croak.
Yeah, it is vital. I'm building a diplomatic relationship between the Croaks and New Prosper, and I have to make sure that there's as many Croaks here as possible for them to build a thriving community.
I think I understand.
Good. Anyway, I'm going to keep on asking them, but yeah, Comstock gets very tetchy if you take too long to do something, which I found out very frequently over the past 6 months that I've known him. Anyway, go. I would say, you don't have to. It's the tower. You gotta go to the tower. But yeah, go. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you soon. Hopefully with some Croaks in tow. Okay. Bye.
And he rolls his trouser legs up a bit more and he squats back in the water and you hear him start his spiel again.
There were 6 of you.
Yeah, as we're turning away and as we're about to walk off, I just mutter up into my breath. His friends look It smelled rather fishy to me.
Come here, over the sea.
I'm not giving you a hope for that. I'm not.
I wonder what they tasted like.
Cal definitely says something like, "That man sounds like a moron, but fine. We'll
Oh no, he
see
hasn't got a hope.
if we can
He
find
hasn't got
the
a hope for
sibling."
them. I don't think they understand anything at all. But you know,
Well, if we find the researchers, we just put the Croworks under the researchers' care, and we look after all of them. Like herding sheep. Fine.
Have your player characters, all the players, got any questions before you head back up to New Prosper and then on to presumably the tower?
What time of day is it?
It's like early afternoon. It sounds like, I mean, the way that the you've been spoken to about it so far, there's almost an implication that hopefully you'll be done and dusted by dinner time, kind of thing.
Okay. So it's within a close enough walking distance then to this tower that you could do it within the day.
It would seem so. Yeah. I mean, the tower, like jutting out from the trees, looks. Well, it's difficult to say because it's so big. Like it, ground size, it would take up like a couple of acres of space. I think that's a pretty big space.
Yeah,
But then it's also, let's say, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, like almost. Again, it's hard to say because of the perspective, because you don't know the size of the actual thing. Yeah. So for the four of you, just so you know, Milia is kissable and has a big heart. Yeah, it's hard to judge, but what if you're heading back up? Like Comstock kind of gives you a bit of a prep, like direction. He tells you how far he is, and yeah, it's like a couple of hours trek up to the tower. So you know that by the time you do that, presumably find this survey group and then head back and home for tea.
So is it upon the terrain? Like, is it reachable by like land? Like, it's just on the side of?
Yeah. So well, like if we dive in, yeah, Comstock explains to you.
Basically, you want to just head north through this small wood, then you pass over the Omeran Plains, which should take you about an hour, and then you'll arrive at the Crystal Spine Forest. You'll know when you've reached it because it's a forest, but all the trees have been crystallized. And the tower stands in the middle of that wood. Don't worry. Ever since we dealt with the threat that was in there, the forest has become somewhat inert. So now it's more of a tourist attraction, as Frinka likes to describe it. But if you're walking through the crystal trees, you absolutely won't be able to miss the tower. You'll be able to see it through the canopy all the way.
Well, what are we waiting for? Should we make a move?
Azakar would like to ask if there is anything that the researchers were particularly looking for, if anything.
Comstock kind of scratches his beard.
No, I'll be honest with you. It's not particularly my forte. If Galena were here, she would be able to give you a comprehensive rundown, but from what I understand, the tower itself is... Well, it used to be a lair of this wizard warlock. It's the history, but ever since the wizards of Avamore found out about it, they've been sending researchers there to study the nature of it, because apparently very few of these towers have been seen. This is the first one that they've encountered. They want to know why it's there, what it does, if there's anything they can harvest or extract from it. It's just become a hub for arcane research. As I say, I'm a bit confused. If I can't hit it with a sword, then it's, is it even worth knowing about? That sort of thing. But no. It's they're just doing wizard notes, as far as I know. Wizard notes, yes.
And Comstock seems very pleased with that description.
Is it now?
Wizard notes.
Wizard notes.
Wizard's notes.
Have you got any more questions for the sheriff before we head up?
Is there anything we should be looking out for when in there? You've been in there yourself.
Well, perhaps one of the things that Knockenbock did get right is that the place does seem quite sterile now. There haven't been any reports of any of the other survey teams getting attacked or this is the first team that's gotten lost for some considerable time. They've probably been gone for about a week and a half, but that's not particularly unusual. Sometimes these research teams will take enough provisions to last for a good week or two in there before they come out, just so they can, I assume, do wizard notes. But we're a bit concerned for this lot. They were supposed to be due back, and they're not. But the inside of that tower, it doesn't particularly make sense. So it might be that they've just gotten lost. And it's difficult to explain until you've been there, but that's easier said than done. Well,
So you
it's
haven't
as
got a
easy
map
to
or
do
anything?
as it is to say. No. One of the things that we've discovered from some of the survey teams is that every time they went in to explore, and they were mapping out the interior, every single buggering one of them came out with a different map. So it's almost as if the tower itself is changing its layout. But don't worry, there's a front door of sorts. But it's marked out. You'll see it. You'll know where it is. But yeah, it leads you to the same place. So, given that research team is in there, there's just a case of going in and finding them.
Well, don't worry, everyone. If we get lost, I'll punch our way out.
That's the spirit, he says.
I don't doubt it.
Comstock, kind of recognizing a man of veteran experience such as himself, sort of like grins at you, Cal, and then gives you a firm slap on the shoulder, and a good squeeze of the shoulder. And yeah, unless there's anything else, he bids you farewell, so you can head off in the morning, in the day's light.
Can I take a fish?
Sure, he says.
You may add one fish to your inventory.
No, you'll see. As obviously, most of the time at the moment, as we've been traveling, Vanya has this like big overall white coat that sort of is currently wrapped around with this like fluffy mane of black fur. And he sort of opens it up briefly to access some like this strange satchel that, when he opens, seems to let off a slight cool breeze as he shoves the fish in the satchel and just closes it. It'd be
You
good
have
for
a very
Liv, for when we need it.
Cheeky.
That's very cool.
As it opens, Vinny Just and just starts just sniffing all over your satchel.
Don't worry. I'll make sure that's enough for you too.
He just sits. Just. Oh,
Rary, what does he eat normally?
Anything. Literally anything. Meat.
One moment. And he again opens the coat, opens the satchel that looks quite cool inside, and he just rummages around and like, this should do. And he pulls out some mystery meat. And he's like,
Loves mystery meat.
and he offers the meat to your pup. This is quite good. I've already cured it.
Don't snatch it. You good boy. Don't snatch it. He's nearly takes your hand off.
There's no chewing, just
Seagull.
yeah.
It's like a seagull with a donut, just like.
Yeah.
And he sits there just like.
Boy.
No.
There'll be more later. You got to do your bit too.
So, as with Vinny the dire Chihuahua fed, the four of you begin your journey north, and true to Comstock's instruction, it doesn't take very long at all to clear the small copsewood of trees to the north of New Prosper. Before reaching what appears to be, what you assume to be, the Omaran Plains, which like gentle kind of sloping hills going off in kind of all various directions, which give you this beautiful sight of this kind of sky-piercing blue crystalline tower. And like as you're heading across the hills of the Omaran Plains, you're getting a better sense of perception and scale, and realizing just how huge this tower is. But you can also see that kind of nestled around its base, like in its shadow, is this it's almost like you're looking at a fabric covered in like aquamarines and like fuchsia, like pink rubies, and it glitters in the daylight. And as you get closer, you realize that glittering is in fact trees that appear to be root to tip made of this kind of blue pinkish crystal. And as you kind of reach the edge of the forest and then kind of head back carry on in, you find yourself walking for some considerable time through the trees, and where the trees themselves don't have any foliage, you, like Victor's right, you could see the tower and like where you're heading to, and like there's almost like a clear walkway. As you're following it along, you notice that there's a ruined tower off to your left, but something that you do notice is that as you're walking through it, you can't hear any wildlife. You can't hear any cheeping, singing birds. You can't hear the scurrying of like woodland creatures. This place seems like deathly still and silent. A tranquility almost, but there's something ever so slightly unnerving about it all. It doesn't seem natural, despite what you're seeing, apart from this ruined tower, being, presumably, quite naturally formed. How have any of you encountered, like, crystallized strips of landscape since the war? So places where these untamed mana crystals, arcane as you know them, where they've just kind of like spread and propagated through an area. Or is this your collective first times of being in somewhere like this?
I think it will be first time seeing it on this scale. Maybe seeing small, like little, maybe like a slight creep of crystal into the wilderness, I guess, but not scale. And I think with what Riri has seen in the past of what happened to the forest or the area that she grew up in, she finds it quite. It's the first time that you can see on her face that she's not smiling. She doesn't enjoy the feeling of there being no wildlife, everything's still and almost dead and unnatural, I guess.
How about Cal? Is this your first time?
I think it is. I think in a similar vein to Riri, he's seen crystallized plant life and for maybe even like one big tree, but like not to this scale.
Yeah.
I think he's been an explorer a little bit longer than the rest of the group for obvious reasons, but I still don't think there's a sense that he's explored much different from the rest of the group in that way. And I think it still kind of takes him aback how new the landscape can be after so long.
Yeah.
Knowing the landscape before. And I think that's a lot to process. But again, takes it very much in his stride. This is all very internal. He's just very aware.
Yeah.
I think it makes him a bit more on edge because it's an environment he does not know how to operate in. Like, how do you operate around crystallized trees? Are they safe? Are they magical? Will something happen if they go near them? Like, they're questions he can't answer. He can answer what happens if you go near a normal tree, and what that function will be. So I think realistically, he's just like, let's keep as far away from them as possible. Let's keep close as a group.
Sure.
And only approach them when necessary if we need to for the path.
Sure. I mean, as you regard your kind of broken, fragmented reflections in the crystalline trunks of these trees, like Azakar, you being an adherent, such a devout adherent to Aya and her divinity, you find yourself in, I mean, this must be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of like square foot of the effects of arcane corruption on a natural place of beauty, you would assume. How does this sit with you, seeing everything around you?
I feel like Azakar would have had some sort of like training or initiation before joining the Explorers, and would have been shown this. Would have been shown some sort of like crystallization like this before, but like the others, like on a very minute scale, and really sort of plowed into him like, this is the destruction that arcane magic has done to our world. So yeah, I think seeing it at such a magnitude would make him quite angry.
Sure. And lastly, Vanya, how is this making you feel? Like, I'm imagining being someone that eats what he hunts, being in a place where there's no, like, you feel like you're the only living things here. How does that feel?
The fact that he can't smell or hear with his heightened senses or see anything around his vicinity, it definitely puts him on edge. Like, considering his chaotic experience, he's, he's seen things get flash frozen in ice. He's seen probably crystals sprouting from like clashes of battle or something erupting out the ground that he just doesn't understand. But again, he doesn't understand magic, so he's just seeing lots of different kinds of shiny rock. And it's very much of, well, if there's no food around, I wonder if you shaved some of this ice off, if you could break it down, would it make a similar substance as salt?
Depends if you know something.
Magic salt.
Magic.
You just grind it. Would it be tasty?
I would recommend, my friend, not to touch this.
Is it magic?
It is indeed.
I will heed your word then. I will not mess with it.
As Cal, as you kind of like overhearing the conversation between the Majani, who you've known from a previous life, and the young kind of Wolfkin warrior behind you, you hear like a twig crack, something shifting, and like your ear naturally just kind of pricks up, and you find yourself suddenly scanning your horizon, like your immediate surroundings, and from behind a number of the crystalline trees, 3 figures emerge out to kind of block your way. And as they step out, you recognize that these 3 figures are all keepers. Can I just show you that? I can. There we go. That's better. 3 keepers. One relatively young-looking keeper, with 2 others behind them. You notice one sports a crossbow. The lady keeper in the back seems to have some sort of large stone hammer of sorts, and the relatively young-looking keeper that leads them appears to be holding a spear with a red wrapping. That's quite enough, says the young keeper. And despite, he's young, but he's still pushing 7 foot, whereas the 2 keepers behind him, like, dwarf him. They're pushing 7.5. The woman appears to be pushing almost 8 feet tall. That's far enough. Why are you here? The young keeper says.
We don't have any business with you. We are going to the tower. I think Cal's hand is on his scabbard with his blade. Like, he was already ready to pull out his sword. He's not like actively attacking.
Yeah.
But he looks ready. So he's like, we have no quarrel with you. We are going to the tower. That is all we are doing.
Like, as you're reaching for your sword, you notice like the knuckles, the sound of leather stretching as the knuckles gripping the hammer, like tighten. If you have business with the tower, you have business with the corollary. So I'll ask again. Why are you here, and who sent you?
We have come from New Haven. They have wizards lost in the tower, doing wizard notes. We have come to rescue them, to search for them. We do not know if they require rescuing, but we have come to find them. We mean no harm.
The young keeper looks left and right to the other two, and in this moment you truly notice that they all seem to be wearing matching shawls diagonally across their chests with this rich green, rich yellow zigzag pattern. And the young keeper looks to you, and the last time explorers went into this tower, terrible things have happened. I don't think I can let you proceed, he says. And as he plants this staff, haft down into the ground and sort of stands in a defensive pose, you get this fleeting thought through your heads that this staff doesn't necessarily belong to this boy, but it holds a great importance to him. And as the three keepers size you up, we'll call it there. Congratulations, everybody! Have I got a happy? Have I got? Sure. Let's do this one. Happy music. No, wait. Happy music. There we go. That's happy enough. Congratulations, everyone, on completing part 1 of Tales from Elsewhere, Story 1.
Yay!
Yay.
You have made it, and yes, this tale will be taking place in the setting of Campaign 1. We have returned to New Prosper, and I'm excited to see, well, I say I'm excited to see, I've planned it, but I'm excited to see you see what I've got in store for you. But yeah.
You apologised, I called it New Haven for some reason.
You did call it New Haven, which is just outside of Portsmouth. Isn't it?
Yeah. Just outside of Brighton, yeah. So, yes, I'm loving what you've brought with the characters. I'm truly appreciative of the whistle-stop tour of loads of the player characters and NPCs from Campaign 1. You took the vast majority of them in your stride. So, yeah, I'm very, very thankful. Thank you to everyone in chat. If you liked what we're doing, make sure to hit the like button and comment down below on which of the Campaign 1 player characters you think would have been most useful to have tagged along in this little reconnaissance journey, this rescue mission.
Dan, I've got a quick question.
Yes.
These are some wonderful maps. Who makes them?
These are some wonderful maps, and I forgot to turn on the icon until quite near the end. But the maps that we've been playing, so tell you what, let's go. Bam! Let's go back here. I've got it on the screen now. But this is a beautifully made Birdie Maps map. And bam! Let's go back to New Prosper. This is also a Birdie Maps map with loads of extra things that it's loading. Loads of extra things that I've stuck on it. But yeah, Birdie Maps does some incredible stuff. Double music. Birdie Maps does some incredible stuff. And you should 100% go check out his stuff over on Patreon. So Patreon, Birdie Maps, that's Birdie with an IE. Yeah, super affordable, super high quality, crazy stuff that he's doing over there. Yeah, thank you for the reminder, Nate. I'm a consummate professional. So, yes, thank you for watching, thank you for playing. If you like what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications when we release new content. We've now got this going, so this is going to be going live every fortnight, and then the VOD's going to be getting released every week in each half. We've also got Campaign 2 still running through, Elysia Rising, which Nate is also in. Where he's playing a ever so slightly different character. We'd love to. I'd love to find out if that's your new favourite thing. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for playing. See you later.
Bye.